I can see again, which is really, really nice, I gotta say. The eye operations have settled down, almost fully recovered in the left eye. The right eye is recovered, I think. The vision is great, and my colors are spectacular. I can see amazing colors that I wasn't seeing before. So this is really going to impact my design and my photography of the products at Tribe. I think I'm looking at things in a new light, with more light. Actually, I'm seeing tons and tons of light. So and the blue spectrum at last. So the color is going to be a little bit different on all our products and on all our content, and that's simply because I can see. This is a show about jewelry, why we wear it, why it matters, how it's made, and what it means. I'm Alex D, and I turn cannabis into gold. I make mind-blowing jewelry in gold, silver, and platinum from cannabis plants here in Canada for stage, screen, for people who want to rock crazy jewelry. I'm the Cannabis Goldsmith. We're the Cannabis Goldsmiths. So the eye operations took me out for the Christmas season pretty much. So otherwise I would have been working on products all in October and November to sell right now for Christmas. But it's taken me out of that and put me on the sidelines while I recover this year. So next year I'll be more engaged with the Christmas season, I think. But right now I'm not at all. But I am engaged in going to craft shows and art shows and art fairs and maker fairs and stuff. It's funny. I'm living in this rural area now of southeastern Ontario along the St. Lawrence River, and everyone is spread out, and there's not a lot of people. I mean, after you come from a big city like Toronto, like I did, where people are everywhere and there's always stuff going on. There's like 20, 30 things happening a day you could go to if you had the time or wanted to or could afford it. But here, out in the rural areas, the events are fewer and far between. And they're different in character too. They're different in character. They're more community-based, I think, than they are in the big urban centers. Well, let me explain. I don't know. I went to a Christmas craft fair in Prescott, a nearby town, Prescott, Ontario, on this last weekend, and they had it at the local golf club there. Beautiful, beautiful little clubhouse on nice grounds. The trees still had some leaves left on them from the fall, so there was some beautiful fall color on the course, on the grounds. Trees, lots of fir trees, looking great. I mean, this is an area where you can stand on the shore and look at Ogdensburg, pretty much, and you can see the beauty of the river and stuff. It's a pleasant town. It's a beautiful little town, and they had this craft sale. So I thought, I'll go and see. Maybe it's just some old grannies with pies, right? I had a hankering for some pie. I'm always looking for baked goods. So anyway, I went, and holy shit. I went with a friend from Toronto, and even she was shocked at the number of people that were at this thing. The car park was full and overflowing onto the side streets. And this tiny little clubhouse, I guess it was a dining room. It's been a long time since I've been in a golf clubhouse, so excuse me. It was like kind of a restaurant-y space, a dining area. But this was rammed with vendors, and there were even so many vendors that were downstairs. And people, like it was shoulder to shoulder people looking at stuff and asking questions of the vendors. It was compressed community in a community space. It was so good. The energy was great. Now the stuff for sale there was really random. It was totally random, and it's what you might expect at a a community craft sale. There was imported stuff from China, of course. There were people selling candles. There were people selling kind of wellness stuff, knitting, some artists, lots of woodworking people. There seems to be a lot of woodworking in this area. There was some baked goods, and we scored some amazing ginger cookies, which were delicious. But it's just like a random hodgepodge of stuff that you would see at a craft sale. Probably about half of it handmade, which I find the interesting stuff to look at a craft sale. And the other half kind of imported, just people reselling stuff, right, that they buy. There was a small vintage jewelry fashion stand there, and that was really cool. But for the most part, it was just rural and crafty. But it was so nice to get all these people in one room looking around and bumping shoulders with each other. I guess after the pandemic where everyone was all locked down and fucking isolated, I'm still trying to get over that, I guess, as we all are. We're still trying to reconnect with each other. And these kind of community events, these rural events, or if you live in a big city like Toronto or New York, the big ones, you can go to those. There are people there. But just the gathering of people and amongst art and craft, I think, is what's really interesting. Immediately, my brain started going towards, okay, well, like my stuff is too high, kind of too high end to be selling here. Listen to me, listen to my brain working. But the price point's a little bit too much for what people are spending at these local ones. Like I could probably go into one of the big ones in Toronto and set up a stand, but I'm not even sure that I want to do that. But just watching people interact with other people, I miss that. I miss a retail setting where you can actually engage with customers in real life. Our sales are online, and I engage with our customers as best as I can online, and I communicate. Because we're a bespoke and custom jeweler, we're Tribe. We make the most amazing jewelry out of the cannabis plant. We take cannabis plants, we grow them here in the Thousand Islands area of Ontario. We cast them in precious metals, gold, silver, and platinum, and make them into the most amazing jewelry you've ever seen. From cannabis, we're the plant, as we like to say. We're Tribe. We're the Cannabis Goldsmith, the world's luxury cannabis jeweler. So my stuff would be a little bit, I think, high end to be next to the knitting, the crochet work. However, at a city like a big city, the Toronto, like the old, I don't know if the Christmas, they have a Christmas show and sale in Toronto that's massive. It's huge at the exhibition grounds. And, I could probably go in there and sell stuff, but I'm not, like I say, although I miss retail, I don't think I'm yet ready to set up a booth somewhere at an event like that. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I was also looking around the local fair here, this fair, for suppliers. I'm looking for craftspeople who can make amazing products, either in wood or in clay, because you'll find them at these craft fairs. They'll be there, and they'll stand out from everyone else who's there because their stuff will be handmade. They'll have made it. They'll have incredible product knowledge about it. They'll know the different woods that are used and why, and they can explain this to you for hours. And the skill level that they exhibit in their work is extreme, and you'll find these people. They're people who do fine needlepoint work or amazing woodwork out of burled wood, whatever that is. I'll have to figure that out. But you'll see them. So I'm looking for craftspeople. I'm looking if I want a wood handle, if I want a wood box turned for one of our custom-made products, I want a local guy here to make it out of local hardwood, out of, maple, broiled maple wood or whatever. So I'm always on the lookout for that, right? I'm always on the lookout for somebody who knows what they're doing with the material that they've chosen to work in. And so far I found a good artist, and I found a couple of wood guys, I think, that might be able to make amazing boxes for a product that I have in mind for next year. The idea that I can find local people here around me in this rural area who are masters at different crafts. This is what I want. And when I moved out here, I've been looking for people like this, and I'm slowly finding them in different areas of southeastern Ontario. I was looking for a guy who could do metal lathing, because there's a silver object that I'm working on for next year, a product that's just going to be frickin' amazing. And we're working on the designs. I have the design down, but I just need to get somebody to lathe this design out in sterling silver so I can look at it. I made the plastic models and stuff, but it's a huge piece, and I need somebody who's really good with a metal lathe. So I was at a dinner with a neighbor last week, and I just mentioned, I said, look, do you know anybody, some retired dude or something who does metal, is a machinist, who I can talk to about this product that we want to make? Because nobody seems to know how to make it, right? It's just too difficult, or too heavy, or hard, or tough, or but they're just not possible to do in certain ways. So I'm, exploring other ways, and I've settled on metal lathing. Maybe this might work to make this product. I'm not going to give up on it yet. It's like, it's a complicated product, but a simple product. Anyway, so I mentioned at dinner, I said, look, a machinist? And the neighbor came by yesterday with a business card and said, yeah, there's a guy, my neighbor is actually a retired machinist. He might be able to help you. So I'm going to talk to him, and eventually I'll track down somebody who can lathe blocks of sterling for me into bongs or whatever. It'll happen eventually. But if we need that, if we need that, and if we don't need that, we won't use that. But at these craft fairs, you find people like this. You find people who are doing what they want to do in their life at last, and they're like doing it well, and they're at a craft show, and for them it's not really important, I don't think, to sell the products. It's more showing the products to other people. Like, look, this is what I've made. This is what I make. This is what I can make out of our local treasure, our wood and our stone and our the materials that are here. So it's amazing to meet these people. But we were walking around this big show, and already this big show, it was a small show, but it was rammed at this golf course. And I asked one of the vendors, I said, well, how many people go through here? And she said, like today, there'll be like 600 people. I mean, you can imagine a tiny little rural town with a craft show with 600 people going through it. That's a lot. That's good. So my brain was thinking, oh, maybe I should do a show for jewelry, a jewelry show next year. Or this year's too late, but next year, a jewelry show, just with jewelry and like high-end shit, and get a good venue. And then, since we're right next to the American border here, I mean, I could market it into the States, and to get more Americans over the border for a sale like that. Because our prices, since we're in Canada, our prices are cheaper for Americans. So Americans who live next to us here tend to forget that we're just across the border here, and we're easy to come and buy stuff at a discount, basically, for the same thing. So, or better things like our stuff. So I started thinking, okay, let's maybe do a show. Let's do a luxury show, maybe next year. So I'm going to toss that around in the brain a bit. You have to be a jack of all trades sometimes to market, and to just gauge the pulse of your market, and to feel your market out. But I want to make jewelry and design jewelry so I can get spun out into all other stuff like event organizing, marketing, advertising, developing advertising content, all that kind of stuff. I can do all that kind of stuff till the cows come home and I lose sight of the core project of the jewelry design. So I always have to reel myself back in. But it's always nice to have those skills that if you've ever organized events before in your life, that you can bring that to play when you need to sell your products that you make yourself. Now, there's supposed to be a huge craft show this weekend at the high school or whatever, at the community center in the next town. And I don't know what they mean by huge, because if this last weekend one at the golf club wasn't huge, I don't know what this one's going to be like. So I'm looking forward to going to this one on the weekend just to see what's there. It's all reconnaissance. It's all market research. When you're a business, when you're a company, if you're an individual selling your products, it's always good to do market research and get out there and see how these events look and gauge whether you would be okay in them, or whether your products would fit in them, or maybe just stand out completely from everyone else and maybe work even better because of that. There's different ways to look at being at a craft or art show or a festival. The main thing to look at is traffic. A lot of people will be walking past, hopefully, like at that show this past weekend. 600 people walking past your table is good. That's good. So now all of those people are not going to be able to even want your product or afford it or, like it. They might hate it. It's not for them. That's fine. That's fine. It's not for them. But for how many people out of those 600 it might be for, 10%? 60 people? 5%, 30 people? That's the math here might work out in your favor, if you're considering doing some of these community sales. But you need like a high traffic thing, I think is a better than a lower traffic one. But anyway, so you can see how my brain is working. I'm thinking out loud in this podcast about getting involved in craft or art shows or things like that. What to consider, you have to have a way to accept payment at these things. You need a remote terminal, credit card terminal to collect money from people. So that's important. All these things, you need signage, you need a table, you need to get all this stuff set up before you even consider going into it. Now you could, again, I'm thinking out loud. I would want to go into a craft show in a way that would be perhaps not too different, yet somehow different. So you'd want to stand out. I'm just talking about the design of the booth, or right. You don't want like one of these trade show booths at a craft show because it would look stupid. But if you do your research and you go to some of these art shows, craft shows, and you do market research, you can get ideas of how you can design your own booth to stand out. And a booth might just be a table with like a table cover on it or something, some signage, some fabric or something hung up. When you visit these craft fairs, look at, and you're a maker yourself, instead of just looking at the products, look at the tables and look at the setup of the booth and the people behind the booth and how they're interacting. I have this friend, Kristen. She's this total bohemian. She makes jewelry, not like precious metal jewelry, but kind of like really interesting design jewelry. She makes it herself, but she sells it herself. And she's like so bohemian. She looks bohemian. She like in the summertime, she'll be wearing a sarong, with like a bathing suit top and like sandals, and she'll set up a jewelry booth at an event at a park, and just she interacts with the women. She sells primarily to women, I think. Her products are like necklaces and pendants and stuff like that. But I watch her interact with women who approach her stand one year. She had set up in a park, and I ran across her and just watched her work for a while. And she was like, how she interacts with the women that approach her stuff, what she says to them about the products. She's like a master at it, right? Like she's obviously done it so often in so many different places that she just does it. And as all professionals are, like they make it look easy, right? And it's not easy to be this good at doing it. Anyway, she's a master. So she was just in country. Actually, I don't think she lives in the country anymore, but she was just here, and I should have spoken to her to get some tips about how to do this, or how to engage with people on these situations, these random fair situations. That's market research, to talk to people who do it well, and watch what they do and see how they do it. But if you make your own products, that gives you an edge over somebody who's just reselling someone else's stuff, because your products. You've put so much into them. This can be also a problem. This can be a problem too. But I think because if you have such great product knowledge, you could explain it to the potential client so much better, and you can help them understand the kind of work you put into it. But then again, it might be too much, right? So you have to dial that back sometimes. Sometimes you don't want to over-explain a product. Maybe they just like the way it looks, and that's all that matters to them. They don't need to know anything more than that, right? Or maybe it's simply a price thing, or maybe it's like, it's $100, so that's okay, right? The engagement with people. I think I miss that. I think it would be great to engage with people at a stand, but I'm not there yet with our products. Eventually, maybe I'll do a lower end line just for that or something, to go into the Christmas show and sale in Toronto and sell cannabis jewelry at a lower price point, maybe just silver, a whole silver line or something. Anyway, there's lots of things to consider with this, but the main thing about these Christmas maker fairs is to go to them and just, you get thinking about stuff. If you're a maker, you get thinking about how you'll be displaying your own stuff. You get thinking about how others are doing it, what you like about what they're doing, what you don't like. You get to explore these ideas in your mind, and you get to decide whether it's right for you or not, as I'm still doing. I want to do it, but it might not be right for me. Maybe a retail, an art gallery might be better off selling some of our pieces, if we have something that's made already. But again, like I say, we make stuff custom. We're a custom. We're the world's luxury cannabis jeweler, and we make stuff custom for our clients. But I'm just so excited about the Christmas fairs. You can probably tell. Oh, man. This one this weekend is supposed to be the biggest, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm going to go see what's there. And I might find some new suppliers for our products to incorporate into our products, wood or ceramic or glass. I found a glass maker, a local glass maker who actually lives in my town, but she said in my little town, there's only 100 people in my town, but they're like, she's retired. She doesn't do it anymore. She sold her kiln, she said. So maybe I'll find a glass person who can make some glassware, if we need that, for some designs, or some glass bits to go in between precious metal pieces in our designs. Anyway, I'm working on two things right now. The one thing I mentioned earlier about the metal lathing, it's a product It's a product that's going to be hopefully available next year if we can figure out a way to make them. They're so freaking difficult to make in precious metal. It's like it's a battle, but eventually we'll figure it out. We're not. And I'm working on, Taylor Swift is coming to Canada next year, and I know we hear about her every 5 minutes. She's the only musician in the world, I guess, now in sales, But she's everywhere, and the friendship bracelets and all that shit. I was thinking, I need to make a product, just a nod to Taylor and that whole tour and everything, right? Just a nod, just my nod to it. So I'm working on a product right now for next year. It's inspired by just her success. How does that sound? It's going to be a pendant, a nice pendant, but you'll see. It's coming soon. My eyes are good enough now to get behind the camera so I can resume shooting photographs to add to our social media page, Instagram, which I've abandoned for months now because I had they labeled one of our rings, a gold ring, as cannabis, like it's made out of gold, right? And so I appealed, and they decided they'd made a mistake. This is why I hate other platforms that you have no control over. So, if you ever want to get in touch with us, send me an email, alexd@cannabisgoldsmith.com. Go to our website, tribe.ca. The CA stands for Canada and Cannabis Accessories in precious metals, of course, because that's what we do. We make the most amazing products in precious metals from the cannabis plant. Anyway, that's it for me. I really didn't say anything this week except that the craft shows are happening now. So get out to them and walk around and look. If you're a maker, you can learn so much from how other people are doing it. And if you're not a maker, you can learn so much. You can buy so much of these fucking things. So don't take so much money with you. No. Take a whole pile of money and support your local artists and makers in your community, because that's the most important thing. Buy local if you could do it. And you'll be surprised at how good the quality is of a lot of the things you see at these fairs. And they're unique too, some of them. But anyway, this fair this weekend, I'm so excited to go to see what's there. Just finishing jarring the weed from the garden, the 3 plants that were chopped down and drying, and now they're being jarred up for me, for my own use over the winter. When the snow starts falling, I'll be vaping this shit here in the farmhouse and designing products. That's the whole goal of that. The snow isn't here yet, but it's coming. I can feel it in the air. The grass in the morning when I go out to get firewood for the wood stove, it's crinkly underfoot. It's crunchy. That's a sign. Winter is coming. That's it for me this week on the Cannabis Goldsmith. Let's do something really deep next week. Let's talk about a material, maybe a gem next week, or a process, something that will bore the 2 listeners to death. No, or maybe we can learn something while we do it. The Cannabis Goldsmith is produced by Tribe Communications, Inc. in the Thousand Islands area of Ontario, Canada. You can see what we do at tribe.ca. Send us an email, alexd@cannabisgoldsmith.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on the Cannabis Goldsmith.